everyone. My name is Gabe from the Brampton Entrepreneurship Centre, and this is BEC Talks, our new podcast where we'll explore different facets of entrepreneurship and small business. If you have a business you're looking to accelerate or you're thinking about starting your entrepreneurship journey, come see us at 41 George Street at the Brampton Entrepreneurship Centre or visit www.brampton.ca/BEC for more amazing resources. Today, our guest is Charlene, founder of Amitro. How are you doing today, Charlene?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. So give us a little background on your business, how you started your journey, and what brought you here.
So it was an observation and a concern for my mom's well-being back in, 2011. My mom lives in South Florida. I live in Canada, and I noticed that her circle of friends was getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and she wasn't as socially active as time went on. The circles were getting smaller for all sorts of really valid reasons. People were moving away, moving closer to their adult children. People were some of her friends took on the role of a caregiver for an ailing spouse, and so they had limited opportunities and time to get out and socialize and hang out with my mom. And so it really came out of concern for her well-being and what the future would look like for her if that continued and her circle of friends diminished. And so I set out to create a solution for her, which ended up being a technology company, and the launch of an online community with a friendship matching feature exclusively for adults over the age of 50.
So what is the long-term vision for this company? I know you've discussed troubles with being very lonely. Like, how does this affect other people? Is this a very big problem, or?
Yeah, it's a massive problem. I was exploring and discovering, if you will, something that wasn't spoken of back in 2011, 2012, which is social isolation and loneliness, which unfortunately the pandemic put on the map at a global scale. The long-term vision for the company is we really want to help families thrive and stay united for as long as possible. And so we have been working on and have launched a second app at a global level called Amitro Family. And it's for people like myself with an elderly parent or relative that needs maybe a little bit more support, more of my involvement, maybe greater involvement. So we're referred to as family caregivers. We're really just the families and typically the adult children or maybe a spouse of an elderly individual that is stepping into a supportive role. So Amitro Family has been rolled out at a national, or not national, but global level. And the long-term vision is to do the same for Amitro Friends, which is currently available throughout North America.
So what is your background? Were you always interested in entrepreneurship, or was there something before that?
I was. So I grew up, my parents were they always owned businesses. My dad had a variety of businesses that he started in all sorts of diverse sectors and industries. And so I grew up, having dinner at the family table, discussing and hearing about customers and vendors and clients. And, it was always business related, and it was very much about my brothers and my education and what are we going to do and what are our goals and what are we going to achieve when we grow up and who are we going to be when we grow up. And so, I didn't have fast food jobs when I was in school. I had an Italian father who put us to work pretty young in a custom home construction business. And so my summers were spent in a suit. I was tall at a young age. So, they'd put me in a suit and I'd be in the sales center greeting potential clients and explaining the construction process in South Florida, which is where I grew up, until I went to university. And so I think it was obviously innate, ingrained in me. After university in Toronto, I started a career in the city and loved it and thrived. But I think deep down there was always a little voice, just like in the back of my head, just it's not everything yet.
Right.
You haven't accomplished everything yet. And eventually I reached a point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. And so, yeah, I think retrospectively, I was meant to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't realize it in my early days.
It was like a calling that you had, would you say?
It was, yeah, for fulfillment and the desire to do more and create something that mattered and that I believed in and could get behind.
You're talking before about how you've had a lot of challenges. What is like the biggest challenge that you faced when starting a business?
I would say not having an identity. So I had a pretty successful corporate career. Anywhere I went, now I'd spent years building a career, and so anywhere I went, I was recognized. When I left that space and that identity, and I was starting from scratch, and I didn't have a big corporation behind me, and it was just me. It was very lonely and isolating, which is kind of ironic because I started with a solution to social isolation, and as I was building it, I too was socially isolated. You'd walk into a room, a networking opportunity in the early days, and nobody knows you. And you don't necessarily have a business card yet, right? Because you're building an idea, a concept. You're working on the vision of the brand identity and what is it going to stand for. And so, I'm 6 feet tall. And in the early days, I was just the really tall girl in the corner. Now I walk in and I'm recognized, right? So that, I think, was probably one of, a pretty big challenge, but also something that can be overcome. It takes time because you're starting from scratch. In my case, I was. It takes time and persistence and confidence.
So back to Amitro, can you share an example of a successful collaboration that led to the development?
First of all, BEC was a huge part of the founding of my tech company, of Amitro, right? I started at the ground level here in Brampton. This is where I built my network. This is where I educated myself. This is where I met really incredible people in the tech space and the social impact space and other industries and sectors, like brilliant minds that are just driven and passionate. And so, I absolutely feel that it was a collaboration. BEC was here completely supporting me, saw the vision, and made me feel welcome. In the early days, I relocated from Toronto to Brampton. So not only did I leave my career and my network, but I left my community and my neighborhood and my dry cleaner and had to, start from scratch in Brampton. So that was a big part of the foundation of Amitro. We collaborate with brands and organizations that provide solutions, products, and services to either adults 50 plus that supports them living their best life, as well as products and services that can aid we family caregivers in taking care of ourselves throughout our caregiving journey, as well as those that we are caring for. One organization in particular is quite a large retirement residence organization in Canada. It's Chartwell Retirement Residences, and they were an early adopter. They were one of our first partners and our first clients that came on board with us, and we have been working together since 2019, actually, on collaborative opportunities. And something that has come out of it more recently is the evolution of our services for our partner clients. And these collaborations have helped us to evolve and create solutions for these organizations that matter to them and resonate with the members of whether it's a Mintro Friends or a Mintro family.
So for the technology side of it, tell me a little bit more about the app and the website.
Okay, so we started with amintro.com. That is our corporate website. And we have created 2 online platforms and apps. So a Mintro Friends, right? And then a Mintro Family. So the website is there to tell the public, tell people about our platforms, our solutions. They can get all the information that they need, and then they can download the apps from Google Play or the App Store, or they can, log in or register from their computer as well. So we have a website we've created apps, right? Web apps and mobile apps.
Okay. So being an entrepreneur is not the easiest thing. So to help other entrepreneurs, what is one piece of advice?
Don't do it unless you really, really care about the problem you're solving. It is challenging. You will doubt yourself more often than not. You will get a lot of pushback. And if what you're doing is, interesting, but you can't bite down on a bone, you're going to do it, then I would probably advise not to, because it's not for the faint at heart by any means.
What are some common mistakes that tech startups make when entering the competitive market, such as a Mintro? What are some steps they can take to avoid these common mistakes?
I think this would apply to any industry, any sector. Do your homework. Dig and research and understand, really understand the problem and the nuances at every angle, from every perspective. Understand what solutions are currently in the market. Analyze those solutions and get yourself in front of your potential clients or customers and validate the concept. So it's a lot of legwork, it's a lot of pounding the pavement, it's a lot of spending time researching and inform yourself, because like I said earlier, it can be challenging, overwhelming, a financial drain, and we have to be really astute with our energy, our time, and our finances when you're going to start something.
So you recently had a Globe and Mail feature. How did you feel about getting recognition from such a large media outlet?
I mean, it was overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming, and very validating, and an honor to have been, contacted by the reporter. I'm sort of speechless. I'm still sometimes in shock. I ran out and got 3 copies of the newspaper, and it's huge, right? I've got it framed in my office, because the Globe and Mail it's such a highly regarded, respected source of really incredible journalism, and I say, my mom thinks I'm fantastic and the most brilliant person she's ever met, right? And I love it, and I love her. I mean, she was the inspiration for where I am today. My love for her is how I got here. But she's slightly biased, so it's it's very extremely validating to be recognized, to be seen, and to be known, right, as a solution worthy of the Globe and Mail is huge.
Would you say that's your biggest accomplishment?
No, I think biggest accomplishment. I mean, accomplishments happen in the past, and I'm always looking 5 miles down the road. So that was absolutely a huge feather in the cap. I think creating something that could help my mom, and creating something now that's going to help we family caregivers is a huge accomplishment. I have countless people contacting me and telling me their stories. Whether it's a senior citizen, I had one yesterday that honestly I could have started crying. She was telling me her story and her reality and why she's so grateful for Intro Friends, right? And then I have these family caregivers that are scared. They know the inevitable is going to occur. They don't know what it is as their parents get older. And they know that they love them so much that they're going to step in, but they're afraid. And so having rolled out, really starting a tech company and then creating these solutions, that in itself is probably my hugest. English is not an accomplishment for me, but is one of the most.
One of your biggest accomplishments.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, you're doing a great job. I think it's something the world needs for sure. So you mentioned something about your testimonials. So what is one of the most heartfelt? Give like a testimonial of somebody that has been using the app so far.
So I typically do not, in the past, sort of probe our members, because at the end of the day, it's about them connecting and building out a social life at a local level. So Intro Friends, just to add on, while it's available currently to people residing in North America, so Canada and the United States, they're matched at a local level, so they can actually log off and meet in person. But I have had, people say to me, this is why I've joined. I'm so glad you have. Here's my situation. And the situations are very diverse. We did have one individual who reached out to me because he'd been introduced to two other individuals within his area, and one of them turned out to be in his same industry back when he was working. So they had that in common, and they didn't even know each other from that space. So he was thrilled by that.
So for entrepreneurs today, what is a pathway they should take?
You need to have a plan. You need to know all the pieces that you need to have in place or work towards putting in place to create your business, right? That goes from a marketing perspective, from the sales perspective, from revenue generation. What is the model? What are you building? Is it a sole proprietorship? Is it an LLP? Do you incorporate? You need to know these things. You need to understand the difference between those legal structures and what actually makes sense for you. You need to understand a bit about accounting. You may not have to do it, but you better know about it.
Okay, Charlene, it's been a pleasure. Please let the people know where they can find you.
Amintro.com, or you can download the apps Intro Friends or Intro Family from Google Play and the App Store.
Thank you for joining us, Charlene. And if you have a business and you're looking to accelerate, or if you're just interested in entrepreneurship, come see us at 41 George Street at the Brampton Entrepreneurship Centre. We offer free business consultations and in-person seminars for every entrepreneur looking to up their game. Visit www.brampton.ca/BEC. Stay tuned for the next episode.